Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about heat printing onto nylon, one of those subjects that comes up often, and hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on it for you. We're going to talk about a variety of different tips and tricks and some challenges that nylon present when heat printing or any garment decoration really onto nylon. And then some myths that are out there in the industry about printing on nylon, and we'll debunk some of them or help you prepare yourselves for when it's time to print on nylon. So at any time during the presentation, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to chat in the chat box. Put it in there. Stacy's on with us, so she'll definitely interrupt me if we get a lot of hot questions going on. Don't despair. I will get to all or as many of the questions as I can throughout. So let's talk a little bit about nylon. One of the big questions that we get or that you may ask yourself at any time is why offer nylon printing? There's so many other fabrics and substrates out in the marketplace today that are available that mimic the look, the feel of nylon. And so a lot of people wondering why are we even talking about nylon if it's difficult, or if it's, if we have to have a webinar about how to print on nylon, what's the point, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of different things. One of the biggest things is there's this faux pas that nylon is just for sports. And I mean, this is a great example. You have a coach's jacket here, and that's typically windbreakers, coach's jackets. That's where nylon was, way back when. I think about the movie Grease and the nylon jackets that the girls wore, touting their, logo on them. That's what we think about when we think about printing on nylon, and that's just ingrained in us. I'm aging myself now, dating myself, obviously, but nylon's expanded so much over the course of the years, and it's trending heavily right now in your corporate decoration. So a lot of your corporate trends for corporate America, uniforms or daily, work sort of things it's really trending toward a structured or athleisure look. And the way to get structured looks right now is to incorporate jackets, bomber jackets, coaches jackets, windbreakers. And then, that's a really great way to show, to give that kind of structured look. And you'll see a lot of corporate wear will go that direction. And you'll see layering. So you'll see, a shirt underneath a jacket, so on and so forth. And it's kind of trending. In addition to that, we have a lot of other options for printing nylon when you talk about some of the cinch shacks for not necessarily sports, but even for schools, or even, some of the promotional products that'll be given away. All those different kinds of, cinch sacks or backpacks a lot of times incorporate some sort of nylon product in them. You're also going to see nylon heavily when we're talking about weather wear. So when we're talking about rain or weather resistant wearables, whether it's, jackets, windbreakers, or anything like that, a lot of times you are going to see some coatings in there, water resistant coating or wind resistant coating, or there's all different kinds of coatings now, sunscreen coatings and antimicrobial coatings for germs. And there's even a newer coating that I've seen recently that incorporates some sort of bug insect repellent. So there's all different kinds of coatings, and garment manufacturers are, changing things up, trying to stay in the front and offer something new and inventive. So, you're going to see that, and you're going to see that a lot of times with nylon, polyester too, but you're going to see it with nylon. So printing on nylon can set you apart from your competition because it's going to allow you to offer some of these looks that you're going to be able to achieve with nylon. And it's going to provide you with an opportunity to upsell or cross-sell to schools, corporations, teams, individuals, fan wear, spiritware, that sort of thing. It's always going to give you an option. It's always going to give you another option to sell to them. And a lot of times when you're printing on nylon, the wonderful thing about it is that you can use some of the same artwork that you already have set up for maybe your t-shirts or whatnot, but you can now put it on a different product. And essentially you can, create some more profitability there for yourself, because a higher ticket item like a nylon jacket is going to, fetch a bigger, larger price tag, even though the decoration end of it could be very similar. So you can definitely kind of build in a little bit more profitability there. So these are just some basic reasons of why, if you're not offering nylon today, why you may want to consider offering nylon. And as you get into it and you do some heat application and you test it out and see how effective it can be, and it's not so scary, it'll definitely hopefully broaden your horizons a little bit and build you up some confidence. So some of the printing challenges or myths that we find with nylon, and there's a lot of different things to talk about when printing on nylon, and we'll talk about the traditional print methods first. So embroidering on nylon and screen printing on nylon can present some challenges in and of itself. And there are, in any case of this, there are screen printers and embroiderers out there that are experts at what they do. They've been doing it for years, and they pride themselves on being, inventive and figuring all of this out. And that's amazing. So you will find, seasoned screen printers or veterans that have mastered printing on nylon and have no problem with it. So this is by any way, shape, or form a way to, say that those are not effective. Those definitely are effective. However, there are some different challenges that can present themselves when doing those types of things. And they are definitely things that, you have to work through. And there's going to be challenges that you're going to have to work through a little bit with heat printing on nylon also. With embroidery, a lot of times you will have embroidery customers, embroiderers say that, you have a lot of nylon can be slippery. And a lot of times, especially in today's embroidery market, we're not always using wooden hoops anymore. We're using plastic or some sort of maybe slippery fabric or slippery makeup. It is very indicative of embroidering onto nylon that the garment will slip during the embroidery process because it's in a hoop. Even if you use, a heavy duty tearaway backing, sometimes I have customers that use multiple backings. You will find that as that needle is penetrating and that machine is moving and that consistent motion back and forth over and over and over again, you will have some slipping of the nylon and it will move and get off registration. Now, again, there are all different kinds of different techniques and things that you can utilize to limit that or decrease it. But it is one of those things to be mindful of when you're embroidering onto nylon. The other thing that I think is a little bit more of a challenge, in my opinion, with embroidering onto nylon is when you get into the weather-resistant products. So if you get into a waterproof garment or a water-resistant product or even a windproof product, a lot of times the manufacturer that you get the product from, the supplier, will tell you not to embroider it. And for the sheer fact that you're deteriorating the coating. If you have a water-resistant product and now you're going to put a bunch of holes in it in order to decorate it, you've just made that area non-water resistant anymore by piercing holes in it. So, that's one other thing to keep in mind as well. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You definitely can, but that's just something to keep in mind. When we're talking about screen printing on nylon, there are, similar challenges with embroidery. Typically, a standard Plastisol screen print ink is not going to work onto nylon due to the makeup of it and the time and temperature that's involved for curing. So a lot of times screen printers, when they're printing on nylon, will mix some different formulations and some adhesives that will go into that ink that they standardly use to print on nylon. So typically when you get into that sort of thing, then you're talking about an upcharge or it's more expensive because you have to have more additives to it. So again, all things that can be done, but just some things to be cognizant of. When we're talking about heat printing on nylon, there are some similar challenges. So most products, or a lot of products out in the industry today, whether you're getting them from, Stahls, Transfer Express, or another transfer supplier, the standard base is we target polyesters and cottons and polycotton blends. We have a lot of products that have tri-blends, that have spandex and things like that, but the base layer is usually a polyester or a cotton, and that's pretty much the industry standard, and that's where most heat printing products start as far as adhesive formulation. It takes a special adhesive formulation in order to be compatible with nylon. And Stahls and Transfer Express do offer various transfers that do have the proper formulation and enough aggression in the adhesive to assist with that and adhere onto nylon. But we need to make sure that when you're doing heat printing on nylon, that you are using a product that has that formulation. Because the last thing that you would want to do is use a product that's geared for polyester and have it fail, because that's not going to come off very well either. So we're going to talk about those different products, but you're just want to be mindful. I'm sorry, tripping over my words. Be mindful when you're choosing heat printing products, whether they're transfers or CAD cut or digital transfers, that the manufacturer of that product does list nylon as a compatibility. Definitely look for that, because it's not a blanket given across the board. Another heat printing challenge with nylon is scorch or burn boxes on heat sensitive nylon. And we talk about this with polyester as well. And we talk a lot about using lower heat to try to eliminate that, and creating some, when we're talking about polyester, creating some heat printing sandwiches where we're doing heat from the top and heat from the bottom, so that we can use less heat in order to get good applications. That's going to be true with some of your nylons. It's not going to be as prevalent as it is with polyesters, but it is going to be definitely something that you're going to want to think about when heat printing onto nylon. So a lot of times, if you're looking for a product to heat print onto nylon, the two recommendations that I can make to you is, one, make sure that the product is compatible, or that it lists nylon as a appropriate substrate. And two, you want to look for products that can go on at a lower temperature. So when we say low temp applications, we're talking about under 300 degrees. 320 is probably the top, but under 300 is even better. And that's kind of where you want to talk about. So low temperature applications are definitely something to look for. And then products that are compatible with heat application with top and bottom heat. And those are, products that we're going to talk about also, but those are also going to give you the option to lower the heat even more. The last heat printing challenge that we're going to talk about as it relates to heat printing is coatings. And I talked about this in the first slide, and we're going to mimic it throughout. It's going to be one of those things, coatings. I'll kind of drill it into you. Every coating, every manufacturer, every type of coating, every run of the same exact garment can have a different chemical makeup in the coatings that they use. So you could order the exact same windbreaker from the same distributor in the same color and the same size today that has a wind resistant coating on it, and a month later order the exact same thing and the coating is different. It's just part of what happens in the market today. So I cannot stress enough to test. We have a lot of products that work with the coatings, and there's a lot of coatings out there that are penetratable by the adhesives, but there are some that are just not. And the only really true way to find that is to test. And we have some things that we can do, we can tell you to help with that. but those are going to be some of the, the biggest things that you're going to want to look for. So the correct adhesive, low temperature application, and then does it have a coating? And if it does, let's test to make sure that your product's going to be compatible. And when I say test to make sure your product's going to be compatible, we're going to do a heat application test to make sure that we can get it to adhere properly. And I usually recommend to customers that they let that sit at least 24 hours to make sure that you can't, pick it off or stretch it off. And even better is if you can launder it. At least one time to see if there's any degradation there, because that's when you're going to find out if the coating's affecting the product at all. So those are the challenges and, some tips on how to overcome them. And we have some other things too. And then some of the myths that follow nylon along through the industry is that it's a sensitive fabric. So it is sensitive in the fact of the heat printing, but in the grand scheme of things, it's right up there with it's a polyester with polyester. It's a synthetic fiber. It's nylon. It's man-made. It's meant to be very rigid and durable and used in a lot of heavy-duty applications. For duffel bags as an example, tents. I mean, there's some really good heavy duty applications that utilize nylon. So it's a strong fabric. And then the last one is dye migration. So it's one of the things that we really have to be considerate of when it comes to polyesters. Polyester is dyes that are used in polyesters are not immune to heat. So when you apply heat to them, they like to move around, and that's called dye migration. And you can get migration of a color into a vinyl, for instance. So if you're putting white onto a product, a red jacket, for instance, you would see it turn pink. That's not a concern with most nylons. Definitely not something that we need to, I don't want to say never worry about, always be mindful of it, but it's not necessarily something that you have to be really diligent about like you do with your heat sensitive polyesters. So dye migration shouldn't be in the forefront of your head when we're talking about nylon. So let's talk about some of the options that we have or we offer here at Stahls that you can use to heat print onto nylon. So first and foremost, we have GorillaGrip. So GorillaGrip is great for a single, I would say even a double color application, especially in the low runs when you're talking about 1 to 25 pieces. GorillaGrip, it's actually GorillaGrip 2. So GorillaGrip 2 is a CAD Cut vinyl product. So this is a product that you could purchase from Stahls in a roll, and you could cut on a vinyl cutter, whether that be an industrial vinyl cutter, such as a Roland or a Graphtec, or a roll fed cutter, or you can cut it on, some of your craft cutters that people are using today, your Cricuts, your Silhouettes, that sort of thing. So it's that material that's on a clear Mylar carrier so that you can weed away the excess material and see through it and create a transfer. It is soft. It has a soft matte finish. It's super, super thin. It's very, very thin. So you shouldn't have any trouble cutting it at all. The carrier that it's on is not sticky. So it's a non-sticky carrier, which can present a little bit of challenge when you're weeding away some fine detail. It cuts fine detail really well, and it'll hold the fine detail, and it has some stretch and rebound to it, which again is very nice when you're talking about a vinyl. But when you incidentally weed off the dot to the eye, you may have a hard time getting it to go back on the carrier because it's not a sticky carrier. However, it does have an adhesive that allows itself to be compatible with heat printing onto nylon. And it's tried and true. It's one of the traditional Stahls products that has been around for a very long time because of its ability to be applicable onto nylon, and the colors, their standard, your standard vinyl kind of sport colors are available in it. If you don't have the capacity to cut your own material, we do also offer the GorillaGrip 2 as a logo a custom cut service product. So you could upload your artwork and send it to us, and we will cut the transfer pieces for you out of the GorillaGrip and send them back to you for heat application. They're already weeded and ready to go. So that makes it very convenient. And the minimum order on CAD Cut Products in the custom logo is 5 pieces. So you're not talking about a high volume either. You don't have to order 300. You can order as few as 5 pieces. It's also available in some of our pre-spaced product lines. So if you need names or numbers or some, simple text, our pre-spaced product also offers the GorillaGrip too. So there's another option for you. So we have several options there. If you need something in the 1 to 3 color range, and again, now we're going to be talking about a low temperature solution, but you're getting into some higher volume, 50 plus pieces, this is where the Aqua True will really fit into the mix. An Aqua True is a Transfer Express product that is a water-based screen printed transfer. And again, the nylon or the adhesive that's used in this process is compatible with nylon. The nice thing about Aqua True is, well, there's a few. First of all, it's water-based, so it's super soft and very thin. It has a very low hand to it. It's not going to be very heavy. It's going to be very light. It is a transfer in the sense that all the colors are going to come on one carrier. So it's not like CAD Cut where every color is its own roll. And if you did this Troy Venom soccer example, for instance, the GorillaGrip CAD Cut material would come to you on 2 different carriers. So you'd have 2 applications. With Aqua True, all the colors would be on one standard carrier for you. It's a frosted carrier, so you can see through it a little bit, but there isn't really any need to have to align anything because you don't have to register it to another color. It's all together. Now we say 1 to 3 colors is ideal. That's kind of where the price spot is, but you can get Aqua True, I think up to 6 or 7 colors. So it is available. It's just a per color price. So obviously the more colors that you have, the price is going to go up a little bit. So just something to consider. But this is really going to be great when you get into like really good volume. That's where your price is really going to come down. So 50 pieces would probably be where I start, but your sweet spot's going to be, especially if you're doing like left chest, a little higher volume. But it's a very easy application. I think it's, we're going to watch a video that shows it at the end, but I think it's 275 degrees at 12 to 15 seconds. Super easy, super fast application, and it's beautiful when it's done. But that's a good option for you. CAD Prints is a full color digital print. So we're getting the best of both worlds here. So we're going to have a full color digital print, 16.8 million colors, doesn't matter. You can get gradients and shading. So if you have that, super detailed logo that has a ton of gradients and shadings in it, or, a plethora of rainbow colors or photorealistic gradients, CAD Prints would be a great option for you because it's completely and utterly full digital, so you can get all the different colors. And we have a variety of products that are compatible in the CAD Prints line with nylon. So we have our Super Tech Subless Stop, and we have our Super Tech Opaque, which are both products that have adhesives that are compatible with nylon printing. And this, again, this would be a situation where this is a product you can create in-house. If you have a solvent or an eco solvent-based printer like a VersaCam, you can buy the standard media from Stahls and print and cut it yourself in-house. Or this is another product that we offer in our custom cutting services. So again, you could upload your artwork, select what you need with your artwork, select your sizes, and then we'll proof it for you, and then we'll send you back a full color digital transfer. Again, this is a scenario where it's all on one carrier, all colors are on one carrier, already masked, so there's a clear liner for you to heat apply. And the nice thing about CAD Prints is again, we're not talking about super high volumes. The CAD Prints minimum is $25 worth. So all the pricing for CAD Prints is based on square inch. So if it's a left chest, $25 worth is probably going to be more. It's going to be more pieces than a full front is going to be. But the nice thing is it's not a full color. It's not a per color price. The price is the price. So it's only based on size and quantity. So one color logo in CAD Prints would cost the same as a 15 color logo because it's just a full color digital print. And again, we do have products that are compatible with nylon. And then last, we're going to talk about, some special effect options. Two products that we have that are compatible with nylon without doing anything special are the reflective products. So we have the 3M reflective, which is your highly visible safety reflective that you're going to see in your safety wear. So when you're talking about the safety vest that we're talking about right here, where they need some visibility, they're definitely doing it for safety. And it's available in it's silver, it's always silver, and that's the color, but it has that reflectivity when light hits it, it bounces off of it. So it definitely helps create visibility in low light conditions in order to make the wear of it more visible. And the high vis reflective. So the high vis reflective is a color reflective, and it's available in a variety of different colors. It has some reflective properties in it, meaning it's going to reflect light once it's bounced onto it. Doesn't have the same reflectivity that the 3M version does, and that's because there's been color added to it. So essentially you're taking some of that reflectivity away when you add that color layer to it. But it's very trendy in even fashion right now. It definitely gives it a very cool pop because it kind of has that sheen when you're looking at it in a different light, and it's available in a variety of different colors. Both of these products are a CAD Cut product, so they're going to be similar in use cases to the GorillaGrip. So it's a roll of material that you could create a design and either cut it and weed it away on your own cutter. Again, your industrial manufacturer cutter, Roland, Versacam, or Graphtec, or your matte print or cutters such as your craft cutters as well. You'd weed away the excess. They're both on carriers. Both of these carriers are sticky, so they have a little bit of a tack to them. And then you could then heat print it onto your nylon substrate. Those, again, without saying, are both available in our custom cutting services as well, with a 5-piece minimum. So you can cut it yourself or we can cut it for you. So GorillaGrip, CAD Prints, and the reflective products are all products that if you have the right equipment, you can manufacture it in-house just by ordering the material from us, or we Stahls can do it for you. And then Aqua True is a water-based screen print that is going to come to you from Transfer Express as a transfer option. So we've got a couple different, we've talked about different options here, kind of your standard, your color and your transfer techniques, and then your CAD prints for your full color and your lower minimums. And then we have some special effect options for you. So there are definitely a variety of different options out there that can be offered to customers that are looking to heat print onto nylon. You have all your different finishes and colors available as well. So let's talk about some tips for heat printing onto nylon. So now that we know what products we can use and kind of outlined a little bit when to use those different products, now comes the challenging part, or the part where people tend to get a little intimidated, is the heat application end. So there's a couple things that are just tried and true that you're always going to do. And the first thing is preheat. So nylon is like I said, it's a synthetic fiber. Its base is petroleum, so it's made out of oil essentially, and it tends to like to hang on to moisture. For one reason or another, it just does. And you'll notice when you preheat a nylon fabric, a lot of times that first preheat, when you lift your press up, you'll literally see steam coming out. You'll see it with your t-shirts and things as well, but you'll really see it with your nylon. Many years ago, when I first started working here, or when we first started offering GorillaGrip as a product, we used to tout, you know, multiple preheats. Like if you're printing on nylon, you should preheat it 2 or 3 times. That's not a necessity anymore, but it is very much a necessity to preheat it at least once. So you're always going to want to preheat when you're heat printing onto nylon. You should do it when you heat print onto anything, but nylon especially. Remove the moisture, remove any chemical sizing, and give you a nice flat surface to start with. It's also going to help you, you know, especially if you're testing things, to find out if you're going to have issues with scorching. So you're going to want to definitely test. Employ heat printing tools when possible. So when we're talking about heat printing onto nylon, if you look at the list of products at the very beginning that I said are trending, we're talking about Cochise jackets, bomber jackets, structured jackets, windbreakers, cinch sacks. Those are kind of the hot buttons, or some of the biggest ones that I alluded to in the beginning. Every single one of those applications has some sort of collar, button, seam, zipper, pocket, drawstring, probably very close to, or if not, impeding the print area that you're going to print on. So they're all going to have something like that when you talk about nylon. You can almost pretty much, you know, bet on it. So you're going to want to use your heat printing tools whenever possible to create a very solid base area for you to heat print on and alleviate any pressure issues, such as a button, a seam, a zipper, a pocket, a drawstring. Like those are just all things that are going to throw your pressure off. And with these products that we're going to talk about, pressure is key. So heat printing on to nylon with the GorillaGrip, the Super Tech opaque line that we talked about for CAD Prints, the Aqua True, and even the 3M reflectives. It's going to be very important that we have even pressure on a very smooth surface throughout. So we're going to want to employ some of these tools. The best thing that you can use always, and your go-to first, if you have it, is interchangeable platens, and that's the picture that you see on the bottom. If you have a Stahls press, you'll know that we have quick release interchangeable platens that can be swapped in and out in order to give you an area to heat print on that allows all those button, seam, zippers, things to fall around the outside and give you a nice, even, smooth area without any intrusion to heat print on. So especially if you're doing volume, you know, if you're doing 100 left chests on a, you know, bomber jacket, you're going to want to use a 4x4 or a 6x6 platen, because it's just going to go, they're going to go on and off a lot faster than trying to put in a pillow or a pad. So that's where the interchangeable platens are really going to help. So that would be my go-to. Again, if you're doing 2 or 3, 5, even a dozen, you know, and you don't have an interchangeable platen, may not necessarily need to go out and break the bank getting one. However, keep in mind, you know, if you do 3 or 4 12-piece jobs, that would have been really helpful to have a 6x6 size platen there. It might be time to think about, you know, scooping up one of those to utilize them, knowing that you're going to use it across multiple things. And you can use them across multiple things. There's all different kinds of reasons to use platens, different platens. So if an interchangeable platen's not an option, a print perfect pad is suitable instead, and that is the picture above to the left. That's that gray rubber pad that almost looks like the top surface of the platen, and essentially it is. It's made out of the same material. It's dense, so it's nice and firm, and you would just put this inside of the garment where you would normally put a platen. And what it does is it elevates the print area that you're going to print onto, and it allows the button, seams, zippers, or anything else to fall to the outside of it. Okay. There are going to be some instances where a pillow is going to be your best option, and pillows are going to work really great when you're heat printing across something. So let's say in the instance of the bomber jacket, this is a good example. You're going to be heat printing across the front of it where the snaps are, and we need to go on both sides. It's going to be very difficult, near impossible, for you to alleviate just that middle area that you want to print on without getting those snaps or buttons in there. So this is an option where a heat printing pillow would be a very good recommendation, because you would take that heat printing pillow that has a foam base, and it's on the outside has our non-slip cover sheet, so it's slippery, it doesn't stick, they slide in and out. And when you use a heat printing pillow is when you lower down the heat press, the snaps literally kind of go into the pillow, into the foam of the pillow. It absorbs it, and so it helps to make a nice even surface. Pillows are not always going to be the best option for every application. They can be used in a lot of different things. But in this instance, when you have a situation like that, a pillow would be perfectly acceptable. So these are a couple different options. And then it goes without saying, lower heat is going to be another option if you have it. So if you have the lower heated platens and the interchangeable lower heated platens, those are going to be ideal. I think all of the products that we're talking about can be heat applied employing lower heat. So when we're talking about heat sensitive fabrics, it's going to be important to utilize the lowest heat temperature that we possibly can to eliminate any scorching or scorch marks on the garment. So lower heat's always going to be something to consider when it's applicable, which it would be in the nylon case. And the last tip for heat printing onto nylon is to test nylon coatings first. So again, like I said in the beginning, in one of the first few slides, we want to make sure that any coatings that are going to be used by the manufacturer are not going to prohibit the application of the GorillaGrip or whatever it is that you're using. So it's always important to test coated nylons first for adhesion. A lot of nylon manufacturers, a lot of times you can get, not always, but a lot of times you can become part of like a panel program where they will send you panels of fabric that you can test prior to ordering fully constructed garments in order to kind of get a feel for it. I would recommend, utilizing that when possible, or recommend, ordering extra. It's definitely going to be worth it. You may need to incorporate, some of that cost into the price of what you're going to, quote your customer in order so that you don't have to take a hit. But it's definitely something that I'm going to encourage you to do. There are some tips and tricks to help remove coatings from nylons, and you'll find them out in the industry. People will talk about different tips and tricks that you can use. Stahls doesn't really endorse any of those, but we do have some customers, that will use some chemicals and treat the area, and then heat press it to get some of the chemicals out of it to try to help remove some of the coatings. And, some customers are very successful doing it, and they do it all the time. It's definitely, maybe something you may want to try, but that's not something that we encourage, because a lot of times when you're removing those coatings, that defeats the purpose of having the coating there in the first place. But sometimes it will help alleviate some of the trials and tribulations. So my first recommendation would be test it first. If you find that you're having trouble with a specific coating and getting some of the products to adhere, give our customer service a call, or give me personally a call, and we can walk through some different troubleshooting techniques that we can try. We have found that there are some coatings out there that they will not work. We can't get anything to stick to them. So it's just something to be cognizant of. We are perfectly happy to help or assist in testing if we can, and we can definitely send, generic samples out as well at no cost in order for you to employ some testing. We find a lot of customers that print nylon frequently will do some testing, and they'll find a product that, a jacket that works really well, and they will consistently recommend that or order that. So it's a good idea to get kind of a gamut of different nylon jackets or bags, whatever that you think your customers are going to like, so that they have a few different options, but things that you've tested, tried and true, and that are going to work when you go to heat print it. So there isn't that, I don't know about this, but it goes without saying, we're always going to have a client that's going to, you know, pick something that's not from your normal distributor or not from your normal supplier, you know, totally out of the wheelhouse that they're going to want you to print on. And no one likes to say no to a customer, right? We never want to say no. We always want to say yes. So that's when you hit us up and we'll, you know, talk you through it, work through it, and we can definitely send out samples. Or, you know, again, I have several customers that have sent me product that said, you know, can you test this for me and tell me what's going to work? And we'll do that as well. So please definitely utilize us for those types of things. Okay, so we've talked a lot about printing, you know, why to print on nylon, the products that'll work for nylon, and then some tips for nylon. We do have a video that we will run that will show you 3 of the applications that we talked about. So in the video, you're going to watch an application of the GorillaGrip. You're going to watch an application of the soft or the Super Tech Opaque, the CAD Prints, and then there's going to be an application of the Aqua True. And so you can see they are all using an interchangeable platen. They are all going on some sort of jacket application, so it's pretty simple. The video is a couple minutes long. I'm going to play that in just a minute and you can watch it, and we're going to mute so you won't hear us. There's some music and talking through the video. We'll just let that roll. And then while you guys are watching that to kind of get on the application instructions, I'll start going through some of the questions that we have. And then when we're done with the video, we'll come back and we'll talk through some of the questions that came up. And if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and slide it in there as well. And then I have a few other tools that I'm going to share with you also that are available on the website. So let's go to the video first though, and let us know if you can't hear it.
Super Tech Opaque. I'm going to start by loading on this nylon bomber jacket and doing a quick preheat to release the moisture and wrinkles in the fabric. I'm going to place the GorillaGrip 2 in the left chest placement. And whenever I'm applying this, it's going to be a 2-step application. I'm going to apply for 2 seconds. I'm going to wait for it to cool and then peel the carrier. Then I'm going to cover with my cover sheet and apply for the full application, which is 10 seconds. Once that's done, my garment is complete. So this has a nice soft matte finish, feels great on nylon, and I'm able to get customization on a nylon garment without scorching or creating heat printing boxes, which is exactly what I need as a heat printer. Next, we're going to do a rain jacket, and I'm going to be threading this on by opening up that port pocket. That way I'm not printing right on top of that mesh, and now I have a nice flat surface to work with and an isolated area for that left chest placement. Just like any other transfer, we're going to preheat to release any moisture or wrinkles in the fabric. Now I can go in with the Aqua True transfer and apply for its full application. With this, you don't need a cover sheet, so I can lock this down and apply. Aqua True applies at a low temp of 275 degrees. It's a hot peel, so as soon as that's done, I can peel this carrier back and my custom print is applied. Now I'm going to load on the coach's jacket, making sure I pull out any inside lining that could be in the way of a flat pressure here. Preheat. Now I can apply my digital transfer. All of our tech products are available in our CAD prints, or if you're printing in-house with a solvent or eco-solvent printer, You can buy our tech products in a rolled good so that you can print it in-house yourself. This applies at 280 degrees for 10 seconds. It's a hot peel, so as soon as that's done, I can peel that carrier back, and my full color application on nylon is complete.
Okay, so we were able to watch that video, and you could see, like I said, Jenna did a variety of different applications, all of the ones that we talked about. So that was good because it showed you everything that we talked about, and you could see that she definitely used the interchangeable platen because she has it, and it was on the fusion press, so the garment was threadable. You didn't have to worry about doing any of that, so it alleviated any pressure issues. You didn't have to worry about any bunching of the garment, so it was a really great option and a really good example of how using those interchangeable platens can really help making that a lot easier. So let me go through the questions that we have, and then I'll share a couple of different tools for you. So as I was going through here, a few things came up. First of all, some people were asking about specific products. So that's great. We're always got our thinking caps on, and I love it, and it's really good to share with others. So one person was asking about outdoor tent tops, like canopy tops. And yes, I do believe a lot of times those are manufactured out of nylon, and I do believe that the application will work. Again, we're just going to want to be cognizant of coatings because they could be wind and rain resistant. And then the only other thing that we want to keep in mind when we're talking about printing on anything that's going to be in an outdoor setting like that, like canopy, where it could potentially be taking a hit from a lot of sunshine, is the UV resistance. So most of Stahls products don't have any UV resistant coatings on them. So that means that with extended wear, you're going to see, some fading or some color degradation. And that might not be a big deal, especially like I said, it's extended wear, but just know that. I think it's kind of one of those things that we expect when things are out in the full sun all the time. But there are some different products out in the marketplace that I've heard other customers use that you can actually apply onto the product after you've heat applied it to offer it some UV coating. So that might be something to investigate if you're going to be doing it for a really, really long time. It's going to be out there, or you're going to be doing a lot. One of the other ones was camp chairs. And camp chairs is another option. Camp chairs a lot of times are going to be made from, they're going to call it a cordura fabric, which really refers to the weave or the manufacturer a lot of times. Sometimes they're nylon cordura, sometimes it's polyester cordura. So you're going to want to check that as well. And camp chairs are actually, especially if you can get them off of the frame to heat print them, they're a really good option because it's usually a nice flat surface that you can get. It's a big area and a nice flat surface. So if you can get it onto the heat press enough, that you can manipulate it, it's going to be a really great option to actually heat apply to. So okay, one of the questions that came up, which is a really good question, I wish I had a really good answer for, but I'm going to share it anyway, is do we have a list of nylon products that will work and a list of products that do not work with your materials? Well, that is not a published list that we have, primarily because of the sheer volume of products that are out there. And what I alluded to in the very beginning is that it's constantly changing. So the nylon product and coatings that are used by one manufacturer today for a coach's jacket could be different in a month from now because it changes that quickly. So it would have to be a very extensive project to do that and then keep it up. So that's where, like I said, I really highly recommend testing always. But that is a really great question and would be a very, very valuable resource if we could come up with a way to do that and keep it current. So I'll definitely float that along. Pressure, we have a couple questions on what is the PSI for everything. So I think everything that we've shown today, pressure-wise, is medium. Medium to firm typically is where you want to be, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, GorillaGrip, Aqua True, and the CAD Prints are all medium pressure. So you're talking about 60 PSI or a 6 on a Hotronix press. Again, you just want to make sure you have a nice, firm, no pressure issues. How long was the cooling period for the GorillaGrip? It needs to be cold. So in a production setting, I would recommend that you heat print all of them, set them to the side, and then come back and start peeling. I'm sure in that video that Jenna did, obviously there was a time lapse there, but it needs to be cool to the touch before you go to heat to peel the carrier. And you'll know if you start to peel it and the vinyl's not releasing from the carrier and you're pulling it up, it hasn't been cold. It's not cold enough. So you need to let it cool a little bit longer. It should almost, a lot of times when you peel a cold peel product, it should be indicative of a Band-Aid. So if you're ripping it off and you kind of get that little bit of friction or that little bit of pull, that's it should just rip right off, kind of like a Band-Aid. And if you're not getting that, then you definitely need to let it cool a little bit longer. Okay, and it looks like Stacy answered the pressure question, and I was wrong on the GorillaGrip too. I'm sorry, that's a light pressure, but everything else was medium. Aqua True's medium. Let's see. This is an interesting question we have from Janet. Sometimes you run into problems with a high altitude needs a higher heat. Has anyone else had that issue? That is not something that I'm familiar with. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue, but I'm going to investigate that and see if that is an actual situation, because it could potentially be. It's just nothing that I've run into before. So that is quite possible. Hopefully we can get you some help there. Which CAD Cut product would you suggest for camp chairs? So if you're going to go with a CAD Cut product, the only CAD Cut product that we have, well, the only 2 or 3 that are available for nylon camp chairs would be the GorillaGrip 2, the reflectives, the 3M, and the high-vis. Those are the 3 products that we have that will go onto nylon. If you're getting into some polyester camp chairs, then you have some different options, because polyester, a lot of our products work with polyester. So you could have the CAD Cut thermofilm, which is kind of the tried and true sports product that's very durable and resistant. But then we have the glitter flake, which would offer you a special effect or offer a special effect to your customer. Then you have, the fashion film product, which would work as well. And it has a huge range of colors available. So those are all definitely different things depending on, what you're looking for. So when we're talking about CAD Cut products and polyester, there's a huge array. So that's kind of going to depend on, what we have. Okay, I think we have pretty much answered all of the questions, or most of the frequent questions anyway. I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. So we talked about having samples available to you. We talked about all the different products that are available. So this is a link that Stacy's going to share, and this is free samples on Transfer Express's website. So Transfer Express has the availability to get some generic samples for you to test. So if you go on to their website, and this is the link that Stacy's going to give you, right here it says free samples, our most popular screen printed transfers. But if you just click in this drop down, you will see Aqua True as an example. And you can add it to your cart and check it out and get some generic samples that you can then test your applications. And there's all of Transfer Express's products are here. So you can definitely get a variety of different products. The Sublock is here. The Opaque is here. So there's a lot of different things that are available here. The other one link that Stacy's going to send to you is the Stahls Ultimate Guide to Fabrics. So this is a download ebook on our website, and it does have nylon in here and nylon variables. So a lot of, like I alluded to, Cordura or Ripstop, those are all different types of nylon. Those are all covered in this, but this is a free download on our website, and it is an extensive ebook. It's several pages long, and it covers everything. There's bamboo, there's jute, there's rayon, there's acrylic, there's nylon, there's polyester, there's cottons, there's tri-blends. There are fabrics in here that I didn't even know were fabrics. So if you don't have this, I strongly encourage you to log on to the website. If you log in, you can download it and you don't have to fill all this out. If you don't have a Stahls account, you can complete this and we'll email you a link to download it. But it definitely talks about, it's really great. It talks about the different products, what to look out for, what not to look out for, what you don't need to be worried about, and what formulations work really well. So this is a really, really, really great tool that I would just encourage you to have. It's not just conducive of nylon. It has a lot of different things in it, but it's definitely a good education piece. And then on the Stahls website, we also have samples that you can get, that you can download. So that pretty much covers the gamut of the different things that are available to you as far as free samples go, and some educational resources. There's tons of videos too on printing on nylon. If you haven't, subscribed to our Stahls TV channel, I encourage you to do that because they're updating those daily. There's all kinds of video resources out there. So a good question, free shipping with the free samples. Most of our sample products, we create them in formats that are conducive to mailing. So there isn't any, ground shipment required. So most of the time, yes, they would be free. If you need something expedited, there might be some minimal shipping charges there, but for the most part, the free samples. And again, if there's any problems at all, please let us know. We'll definitely help work through it. Dawn's asking, the ultimate guide, where on the website is that? It didn't come up. If you go to Help and Education, on the very top banner on the Stahls website, if you go to Help and Education, and there's a big yellow banner that comes up, there's a link that says eBooks. And if you click on eBooks, it lists all of our eBooks. And there's one in there. It says Ultimate Guide to Fabric Types. It's in the first column. It's the second one from the bottom. So if you want to go, if the link's not working. So one more time, I'll tell you. On the main website, Help and Education, eBooks, and then the very first column, the second one to the bottom, the Ultimate Guide to Fabric Types. That's the fabric ebook. And there's a bunch of ebooks there. So there's definitely a lot of good things, to download. As you peruse that, you might find something else that's valuable to you, but this one obviously fits this webinar. So thank you everyone for attending. I hope that we were able to shed some light on heat printing onto nylon and at least give you a little bit of information on what to look out for, what not to look out for. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to learn something with us and keep the questions flowing. If you need anything at all, you can definitely reach out to me. So I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.